Before all this madness. I don't know. What's up, Don? You have the meeting up in the corner.
Allow me to launch lab.
Is that the,
Huh?
Don, that's just the one that pops open Zoom. That's not the like go live one.
Yeah, Mr. Pullen said he's having trouble connecting, said we can go ahead and get started.
Yeah, let me give him a sec to finish up here. That's the one. See him do it. I don't think that's the. Side screen.
Be sure. Good.
We don't have Mr. Pullen on, do we? Mr. Pullen is not on. I'll go ahead and reconvene the open session. Thank everybody for coming tonight. Hopefully everybody's dry and stayed safe making it here tonight. Today is July 10th. We'll get started with our Fluvanna County regular school board meeting. Can everybody please stand for the pledge of allegiance and a moment for pledge. Please be like
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, please be seated. All right, on to the certification of the closed session. Ms. Price, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes.
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 Before we get started, Mr. Pullen was going to join us online, but the connection because of the storm, he's no longer with us. So Dr. Gretz, are there any action items coming out of the closed session? Okay. All right, so on to the adoption of the agenda. Board members, there anything you like pulled or you want not pulled, but would you like the agenda as presented?
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
I have a second.
I'll second.
So all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So adoption of the agenda. So on to the consent agenda. Is there anything that we want pulled from that or just as presented?
I move that we adopt and approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right. So we have a motion from Dr. Keller and a second from Mr. Rittenhouse. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we have consent agenda. All right, on to the public comment section. We come to the time of our meeting for public comments. I remind everyone that the policy, only members of the community, meaning residents of Fluvanna and the staff of Fluvanna County Public Schools may address the board unless you're legally counsel presenting a group interest in tonight's proceedings. We welcome all community members who are here to give information or opinions. We'll ask you to come to the podium, tell us your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. We'll start with any names on the sign-up sheet, but we welcome your input. If you didn't sign up, during public comments, the board will not interact with you, but we are listening and appreciate your time. Is there anybody from the audience that want to come up for public comments? All right, seeing that nobody's coming up, we'll close that section. I'll remind everybody that we have another public comment section towards the end of our agenda. On to reports. Dr. Gretz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Key, and members of the board and the public. I'll highlight just a couple of things from the report from this month. And as always, if there's questions you have or anything you want me to go into more than that, we've discussed as a group in the past, it's been a while, but we've discussed the new state assessments that were implemented. What they're calling growth assessments, they really aren't growth assessments. And there's been a lot of unrest around the state, and I'll own a lot of that with those assessments. They're taking up a lot of valuable instructional time. They're not providing teachers with good data, and I don't want to rehash the whole thing. But I'm very encouraged by the fact that the state has allowed us to use the NWEA MAP testing that we have done for, gosh, I don't know, 17, 18 years, maybe 20 in Fluvanna. Fluvanna was one of the pioneers of that in the state, which does give us great data. And if you remember, one of the problems we had is that we had moved to multiple administrations of MAP. And then in order to accommodate this less valuable test, we had to pull back one of those. And we essentially were wrestling with, do we continue to hang on to this really valuable test when we're only getting one data point? It was kind of, I think the analogy was like getting in the pool to swim and not actually going to the other side. So this frees us up to be in a much better position. Do you have questions about it? I don't want to belabor it, but I'm very happy that that decision was made.
I'm a huge fan of MAP and delighted to see it replace tests that are just not useful to us.
Agreed, yes. There's planning going on for if you went to Fluco Fest back in the spring, there is a second one that's going to be planned for August. I believe it's Saturday, August 24th. And that was a really well-attended event. We had a lot of different community agencies there, and that one was primarily to introduce people to opportunities in Fluvanna for their families and their children, not just parents, but it was targeting parents of students in our schools to show them all the different things that were available in the community and surrounding community. This next one is going to be geared, I think, more towards just bringing people together, and there'll be food provided again. It's going to be a large scale event, and I just want to put that on your radar because it was a wonderful occasion, and I think it will be again. This past week, actually it was just yesterday, sorry, there was a large scale training that was held in our high school. Multi-agencies were brought together to talk about the DC Department of Criminal Justice Services came in and did a training in our high school for all those stakeholders that are involved in caring for families and children. It was related to trauma-informed care, suicide prevention and intervention and postvention. And it was really well attended. I just want to mention that because Caitlin Harlow Berner, who is our mental health coordinator that the board fought for this past year, continues to just be an invaluable asset to our students and families. And she coordinated that event, and it was really well done. And good training, invaluable training. Our convocation is going to be, I'll be hitting you guys with dates as I always do coming up, but I just want to highlight for you convocation August 6th, the morning of August 6th. There'll be some refreshments, and then the convocation will begin at 9. Do you have any questions for me? I think the bulk of my time I'd like to reserve for strategic plan in light of the storm. I don't want to keep you here all night, but that I can talk for a long time about the plan. I'm not going to. Any questions for me about anything else that might have been in the report? There'll be some information forthcoming about finances, obviously, and some information forthcoming about some of the CIP projects and the different projects that are happening. I won't go into those here. Okay. So would you like me to move?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Stribling, I am wondering if you actually play that, hit that slideshow button. I'm wondering if I'm gonna be able to. It would be amazing if I could do that from
Should be able to.
here. Fantastic. I'll make it go faster. So I want to take a little bit of time and just share with the board where we are with our strategic planning. You're required to have a 6-year plan. This is one that we've been working on for a couple of years. You do have one in place. And we actually put kind of a stopgap in place last year, if that's the right word for it, called Bridging the Gap. But I wanted to walk you through at a very high level of where we are in advance of the school board retreat that I hope all of you will be able to attend on the 21st. So I'll run through these. I'm not going to take a long time with each one of these slides, but if you have questions for me, please. Don, I wonder if you have to click on the screen in order to, yeah, I don't,
That's me clicking, you were clicking it earlier, I believe.
I know, something happened. Yeah.
I'm more than happy to move.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've been working as a leadership team with partnering with Inner Will, which is a nonprofit based out of Richmond. And they do work internationally. And essentially their model is they do for-profit work that enables them to work with folks like us at no cost. And essentially we've been working on the tenets of values-based leadership. I think if you click, so this is what I want to cover with you very briefly. Values-based leadership, mission, vision, our shared core values, and where we are with our strategic plan. Go ahead, Don. So values-based leadership has been, this is the book that we read, and I bought that book for all of you. I hope you had an opportunity to read it. Tom Epperson, the author, is the one who has been working with our team. And again, he's been doing it at no charge. I've been working with Tom for probably 15 years in different capacities and different divisions. He's outstanding at this work. The 5 pillars, one of them is hidden, but the bottom one is essentially awareness. And I won't cover these at length, but as a leadership team, we've been exploring basically making sure that as leaders, we know who we are. We know what makes us tick, what we value, what we believe, and what we bring to the table. Realizing potential is taking that next step to understand I know who I am as a leader. I have the ability to have an impact. There's a purpose there. Developing relationships is me as a leader taking the step to get to know how you tick, the members of our team tick. We all did the insights discovery, if you're familiar with that. I'll go into the details of that with you in our retreat, or I can do it now if you want me to. But it's kind of like a person that's really a leadership style inventory that enabled us as a team to really get some valuable insight about who we are and who each other are, and how to better relate to one another to have a positive impact on each other and to inspire really the best in each other, which is taking action and then reflection, building in time with all of our decisions to essentially do an autopsy of what just happened. How could I have done that better? How could I have specifically and intentionally, it's really about being more intentional. Okay, now. So as we approach the work of vision and mission, this is done a lot of different ways, and this is how we chose to do it, basically to answer these questions. Our vision, as we look back on the work that we do, and I would invite all of you here to think about this in your relationship to the schools. whether it's 1 year, 10 years, or 35 years, or however many, what legacy do we want to look back and what's the impact we want to have had? I've asked educators that question for the last 15 years. And I have yet to have somebody tell me that the legacy they want to leave is I just want kids to pass the SOL test. And I'm not saying that to belittle the SOL tests. But we know that educators, empirically speaking, educators become educators for two reasons. One is to have an impact and the other is to form transformative relationships. That's supported in research. And so we wanted to build a vision that really answered this question and invited people to answer this question that went beyond. Do we want kids to pass SOLs? Of course I want that. But that's not my legacy. I want something bigger. We want to be able to invite people to come and work in this organization to a bigger vision than just that. Once we kind of get an idea of where we want to go, what impact do we want to have? What's the stuff we need to be doing every day in order to do that? What are the steps we need to be taking pragmatically in order to end up where we say we want to go? That was our model for this work. If you're familiar with Jim Collins, who wrote, I think his most famous book is Good to Great, he did extensive research into basically the most successful companies. What did they all have in common? I'm boiling all this down, obviously, but they didn't all have the same shared values, but they all had them. They all had well-articulated values that everybody understood and was able to passionately support and make a part of decisions. And that's what we want to do, is to be able to say to our school community, this is who we are, this is what we're about, this is our purpose, this is what we want to do, this is where we want to go. And as we do that work and make those decisions every day, this is what's going to guide our behavior. We're going to be committed to these ideals. Okay. All right, so here's where we are. What legacy do we want to leave? Our vision is to equip students. We want our kids to be known for who they are, not just what they know or what they can even do. So we want to equip students for life and equip them to have a positive impact. That's where we are with our vision. And just so you remember, I've shared this with all of our schools. I've been out to the schools. I've met with all the staff about this. I think 2.0 is for the board to dive in deeply with this. This is all a draft, and our community to have an opportunity to interact with this. And undoubtedly, it will be somewhat dynamic. Okay, Dr. Stribling. So if our vision is to equip students for life and to have a positive impact, what we need to be doing every day is maximizing their potential. And we said all members of the Fluco community because we really believe that in order to do that work, it's not just our students, but our staff, all of those involved, the adults in the community that wrap themselves around our schools and participate in the work we do, is to maximize the potential of all members of that school community. That's what we want to be doing every day with our curriculum, with our assessment, all of our extracurriculars. Okay? So with core values, which I believe are next, you can go ahead, Dr. Stribling. This is where I apologize for that. This came out of Keynote into Google Slides. Looks like it didn't play well. How about we go to the next one? Okay, I'll go through each one of these. So for each one of these, there's a core value that was articulated. And this work was done over months of our team meeting together, working with Tom Epperson to answer these questions and articulate these things in draft form to be able to share. So with each one, there's a value, there's a definition, and then there are behaviors that demonstrate what that looks like in action. Trust, ability to believe in others. So what we're saying is, tangibly speaking, in order to do this thing that we want everybody to be committed to, be honest, respectful, reliable, show integrity, be transparent. There's some conversation going on about whether be honest and be transparent are maybe redundant, maybe the same. Welcome anybody's feedback on that. Okay, next one, relationships. Ensuring open and effective interactions in all of our schools and the Fluco community. Open, effective interactions. What does that look like? Communicate respectfully, show empathy, value other people, and again, be honest. Next one, optimism, expecting the good, expecting positive outcomes. Be solutions oriented, see the good in others, persevere, don't give up, believe in our efficacy. In other words, believe that we actually have the ability to make a difference and that we can have an impact. Okay? Work ethic. Can you go back real quick, Dr. Stribling? I just want to, I think you just hit the arrow. Yeah. Persevere brought some conversation I'm going to show you in just a minute. Just want to put that in your head. As I was sharing this out in the schools with staff members, there was some feedback about persevering. Okay. Work ethic. Consistently performing at a high level. What does it look like? Exceeding expectations, being motivated intrinsically, taking initiative, holding myself to a high standard. So those are the 4 core values. Now, there is another that's kind of on the table right now. They're all in draft form as a result of having shared this out to schools. And it is the next one. Oh, I shared the comment from the teacher. This is the pushback on the idea of persevering. Teachers should not have to, they thought that we were talking about like enduring something. Feels like we're settling, being complacent. I thought this was worth sharing. Or worse, comfortable. Bottom line is it's lazy teaching. I believe teaching needs to be intentional, to have purpose, to be engaged. In acting and speech, they talk a lot about attacking your lines. People become lazy, not just in their attitude, but their speech. They begin a sentence with strength and force, but as they speak, they trail off. So he says, as teachers and educators, we start the year off strong, but as the year progresses, we get lazy, lose focus, we endure to the end. We become less vigilant with expectations, more tolerant of poor behavior, lack intention, motivation, purpose. I've seen it happen year after year. Teaching needs to be intentional. To be intentional means to have purpose, focus, motivation. Instead of being passive, we become engaged. And so out of that conversation that happened, really, I was at the high school in the auditorium. We have another one. It could take the place of the last one, or there could be an amalgam of them. Dedication, consistently performing at a high level, displaying strong work ethic, being intrinsically motivated, taking initiative, and being intentional. So, shared values that are easily understood, that are actionable, that we know what that looks like in an environment where we're clear about where we're going, what we need to be doing. And we have kind of the parameters that are going to guide the decisions we make and our interactions with each other, all in the concept of values-based leadership, which says that as leaders, my first goal is to have a positive impact on you. I have to know who I am, what makes me tick. I have to know you, what makes you tick, and know how to best communicate with you, how to conflict with you, and to be intentional in my interactions to have a positive impact on you, to inspire you to be your best. That's kind of what is behind all of this. Now, with the strategic plan, and don't flag through this, we have goal areas, and under each, there will be an objective. And under each objective, there will be strategies, and under each strategy, there will be a whole bunch of actions related to that. I'll show you an example of that. I'm not going to go into all that here. I'll just tell you, our strategic goal areas have to do with learning, so engagement, inspiring an inclusive culture, and transformative relationships. These are the big overarching things that we are suggesting that we really want to go after as a school community. So for each, there will be a kind of a definition, if you will. And then you can go ahead to the next slide, Dr. Stribling, and then there will be the objectives. And remember, under each objective is strategies, and under each strategy are bullet points. Maximize each student's learning potential through engaged learning experiences and innovative instructional practices. And I'll highlight for you, we've got the maximizing of students' potential. We have to know our kids in order to be able to do that. engagement, innovation, preparing students for success, to be productive, to participate in the community and citizenship. The main areas under that, ensuring that engagement is our central focus. And there's a danger as we get back into what looks like another foray into the standardized testing. I don't know what to call it, but there's a danger in losing focus on engagement and focusing on specifically, how do we get these kids to pass this test? And the analogy I use ad nauseum to our team is you go to the doctor, you get your temperature taken. You take for granted that your temperature is going to be good. Unless you're sick, then you probably know it's not. And all the temperature tells your doctor is that they need to look. That's it. It's all it tells them. And the SOL test is no different. It's not that it isn't important. And I think people in Fluvanna have gotten the wrong message from me that somehow maybe I don't like the SOLs or that they're not important. And none of that is true. But by focusing on the big picture of your health, you assume that your temperature's okay. Nobody in this room got up this morning and said, gosh, I just can't wait to greet the day and make sure my temperature is 98.6 today. But we all want that. We all want kids to pass SOL tests, and they will if we focus on engaging learning experiences. Ensuring teachers, well, I won't read these to you, but for each one of these, these are the overarching objectives, if you will. Making sure that they achieve growth, and that's being defined at the state level, but we want to define it for ourselves as well. And make sure they have the ability to do whatever it is they want to do next after high school. Okay, Dr. Stribling. You can go ahead and hit the next one, the bullets. So an environment where all members of our school community feel welcomed, informed, empowered, and valued. Just let those sit with you for a minute. Support the physical, mental safety and wellness of our adults and kids. A work environment that's characterized by high expectations and support. We want our folks to be creative. We want them to take healthy risks. We don't want them to be in a box. We want to have a diverse staff. We want them to be aligned with our mission and our vision and our sense of shared values. And we want them to be good. We want to be good at what they do. We want to support them getting even better, maximizing their potential, and engage the community in the life of the school division. This continues to be a big one after the pandemic, is to further make sure the community is a part of our work. Okay. And then the third, transformative relationships. We will pursue impactful. We want to be strategic and have an impact. Positive, look for the good among our school community members with all students, characterized by these things: trust, empathy, honesty, respect, high expectations. Okay. And this, again, just the high level objectives. Building connections, valuing the perspectives and the personal stories that everybody brings to the table, communicating well, valuing others, recognizing others, and cultivating a real sense of belonging to the school community for everybody. Belief that what we do matters. And I'll give you an example of what it looks like. This is just one. And again, it's an example. Next slide, Dr. Strickland. So the overarching goal area, culture, the definition, create an inspiring, inclusive culture. One of those objectives is support the physical and mental safety and wellness. We have some measures that that's just kind of a brainstorm of some of the measures that could indicate, and we're experimenting with whether each should have maybe we could create a dashboard, and each would have a leading indicator and a lagging indicator. In other words, one that kind of demonstrates where we want to go, and one that shows us the results of how we're doing. And then under this one, the first strategy would be cultivate a student-centered culture. Ensure all students feel that the adults in the school division care about and support them. What would that look like? promoting the expectation that all staff build positive supportive relationships with students, expand and promote student support, mentorship experiences such as sources of strength, preserve the role of the mental health support staff, avoid assigning responsibilities that take away from that core function. And I can't read the next one, but you get the gist of where we are. So I'll stop there and again, this is just kind of a precursor to some of the deeper work I'd like us to do together on the 21st. But I welcome any feedback. This isn't the first time you've seen this. We really want to put this into effect and hit the ground running with this year. Every year, it seems like, this is not meant to be devaluing of any of these things, but it does seem like the last 3 years, there've been a lot of work we've been doing with mitigations and masks, both sides of that issue as the different administrations come into into Richmond. Some of the other thing, we have now an executive order now that just came out yesterday. I was going to mention that during my report. I don't have a lot of information about it, but the cell phone free education being established in schools. These are things that as the community gets engaged in that and it stirs up potentially controversy, they've taken our eyes off this work. And I want to make sure this is what we talked about when I first met you. Us doing and making sure. And do we have that happening? Absolutely we do. Do we have it everywhere? No. And we want to make sure that this becomes our central focus. I said I was going to stop talking and then I started talking.
Board members got any questions, comments?
I'll note that I am aligned in choosing optimism for this work stream. I'll note that perseverance to me does not have the pejorative notion of endurance. That I can think back across the 20 or 50 last big problems I had or big projects that needed to be done, that absolutely none of them rolled over on the first attempt. And that, like,
Sure.
perseverance is about getting back up to the plate and taking another swing at it, because ultimately the mission itself is worthy of that effort. And so perseverance to me in this context isn't about enduring, but it's about recognizing that the first 20 times you try to teach a kid long division, that it may not take for them. It may be the way that we do notation. It could be the concept. It could be the environment, and that it takes time and it takes repeated efforts and it takes differentiated pedagogical approaches
Sure.
to find that aha moment, and that perseverance is being willing to fight for the aha moment. So I think that to the extent that that's useful, I worry less about the notion of endurance versus perseverance, because all these fights are worthy of those repeated attempts. I'm also happy to work with and vote and endorse this. But I'll note again, only to the extent that we treat it as our North Star and actually make efforts to live to it. To the extent that marginalized communities in our building continue to feel marginalized and we're not taking corrective action to make it less so, then like this piece of paper doesn't help us. Saying that we believe it is not the same thing as living it.
Sure. Yeah, that's great feedback. Well, I'm excited to get into these conversations with you again and to engage the community in it.
I look forward to our August meeting where we take a deeper dive into all this.
Yeah, and for the record, that's genuine optimism. I can't do
Yeah,
anything about
absolutely.
the fact that my voice is pretty monotone. But it's about what I sound like when I'm very excited and very angry. So,
Understand. Thank you. Mr. Key, would it be okay with you if I kind of backtracked and did just say a couple of things for the benefit of anybody who's listening about Executive Order 33?
Yes, sir. You do it right here.
I meant to put this, it didn't make it in obviously because it just came out yesterday, but I I don't have a lot of information about this. What I want to make clear is that the state, so the Department of Education, I think the state superintendent, and I don't know who else, is going to be coming out to each of the 8 superintendents region. The state is divided into 8 regions that they, for, I guess, purposes of education, called superintendents regions. And ours is 5. And they're gonna go to each one of those and do a listening session that's open to the public. It's open to the public. It's designed to get feedback on how to define what exactly is, the executive order calls for school boards to establish policies that create cell phone free education in all schools by January 1st. What is a cell phone free education? So there will be an opportunity, and certainly people who live in Fluvanna, I imagine that ours, because our region is so large, it goes to Bath County, Bedford County, Lynchburg, Highland, Allegheny, Louisa, Nelson. Because it's so big, I imagine that ours will not necessarily be here. It'll probably be in the Waynesboro area, something. But there'll be opportunities if people want to go to one there may be one in Richmond. They're in Region 1. I don't know where that would be. As that develops, I'll publish that with you and with, I'll try to get that out to at least the addresses I have in Power School, to get that out to the public, to make sure that people know they can weigh in on that. I imagine people are gonna have thoughts on this. And as it develops, I'm sure we will have an opportunity to talk about it too. Ours will be in early August. Still trying to nail down the date, but sometime the first week of August. Thank you.
Operation update.
Good evening, board. We'll run through this. Stop me if you have questions with regards to the projects that we have going on. I do want to send a thank you to all the schools, administrative staff, SROs, and parents who assisted with the school safety audit. They wrapped that up, and then I'll be meeting with you or getting you to come to the school board to certify the crisis management plan for the upcoming school year. Security safety grant, we were issued an additional approximately $45,000 to $50,000 from 2022. We're looking at putting additional cameras at Central Elementary, along with security door locks, possibly at other schools. So that is something that we're excited about. Carysbrook HVAC project, I was on the phone with Mr. Hampshire and some of their point of contacts. We are anticipating an end last week of July, first week of August, with regards to having all units operational. There'll be some punch list items and some additional units that we'll have to continue with. So hopefully we'll be at the 95% completion. Sometimes that 5% sometimes takes a little while, but excited about that as well. We just worked with the county through a CRM process. We are replacing a huge HVAC coil unit at FMS that operates probably about 15 to 16 offices. No classrooms, but I will say thank you and appreciate the patience at both Carysbrook. The main office has been without AC for about a month and a half now, 2 months, along with the main office at Fluvanna Middle School. So we're trying to get that all done before school starts and kids return. FCHS Field, we have a walkthrough for our AstroTurf on the 18th. I'm going to invite the board along with the Board of Supervisors if they'd like to come. The track has been stripped and we are still looking at a end date at the end of July so that everything is ready to go for fall season. So we're excited about that.
Done.
Yes.
If we ultimately believe that we're going to have a quorum of board members from either board, do we not need to make it a public meeting? Or at least announce that we will be doing that?
I'll get with Ms. Kreitzer. I don't necessarily expect it, but optimistic. I'm not saying that I'm not optimistic, but
To the extent that I am alive and in the county, I'll be there. So
Okay.
you can count, you only need two more to make it a.
and the walkthrough, it's not as important to, the 18th is not as important as just to go down and take a look at it. It looks very nice. Looks very, very nice. As far as we went over some of the savings that we were gonna have with the FMS track with some of the adjustments and the change orders that we did. We were excited about that. We're waiting for one more RFP, one more request for proposal for the drainage. We should have that by the end of this week, and hopefully that project will start not next Monday, but the Monday following. So we're excited about that. Vape project, we did a walkthrough on Monday. Yes, sir.
Go any further.
Yes, sir.
At the middle school track, will that be completed before the school starts?
No, sir.
No.
It will not. That was optimistic, but we want to do it right.
Yeah.
And so we've had to back off and have a time frame, get the drainage working, and then we can finish with the track. So that we don't have to address it anymore. So, but no, sir, unfortunately, it will not be.
I know you're still in the RFP process. Do you have a ambitious date where you expect this to be finished at the middle school?
Mid-October. I'm
How
not really
ambitious
sure
is-
whether that's a stretch goal right now
Uh-huh.
or a real goal. It's really gonna depend, I'll be honest with you. I think we'll have the, Retorquin is ready to go, and I think it's gonna be a lead time on the, I don't know, the almost, I call them manholes, the canisters that we're gonna use in the corners that are gonna push them off. That might be a 4-week wait period. So even if we, once we decide what we're gonna do and who we're gonna go with, then there's a 4-week wait process for that. So that's kind of just standard right now. Hopefully we might be able to push them a little bit, but mid-October, end of October. We also have to keep with the metric that it has to be 50 degrees or higher. So,
It's been dry lately, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna continue to be dry.
correct,
Good working weather, I know where it is.
correct,
The
correct.
weather outside,
Correct. We did a walkthrough at the middle school and the high school on Tuesday, excuse me, it was Tuesday, yesterday. They will start installing our vape detectors at the middle school this upcoming Monday, and then the following Monday, they'll start with the high school. Excited about that, not necessarily excited in terms of kids vaping, but we hope it's more of a deterrent than a catch. But do want to let our families, communities, and students know we worry about your health. But the school is not the place to do it, and we have an educational platform that if you choose to, we will educate you and knowledge you on the dangers of vaping. So excited about that. Central Elementary playground, we're working to get that resurfaced before school starts. Central Elementary's had 5 of 6 exterior doors. We worked with the county on that with regards to a CIP funding project. We have Carysbrook's getting 2 and FMS has 3 scheduled. And then we're just gonna follow along with that process and priorities to replace those exterior doors. We'll have some more information in August regarding our Abrams Academy restoration project. But that we've been busy this summer. So excited about all the projects. Any questions? All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sterling.
Thanks for pushing ahead. I know that you've had some roadblocks and unexpected things on these, but they're important. That middle school deserves a new track and as early as we
Thank
can
you.
deliver it. And I know it takes time, but
Thank you. Speed bumps, not roadblocks.
example of perseverance.
Thank you very much.
All right, on to the 2023-24 staff survey data.
Thank you. Board members, you know, every year we do a climate survey. And we've continued to use the same one in order to maintain the integrity of the data. And so Mrs. Grasser, you're used to seeing that.
I'm not used to hearing it yet. Thanks.
It took me way longer than it should
I'm scared to say it.
figure out that. I'll admit, I looked around the room for a minute. You dum-dum. So, congrats.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mrs. Grasser is going to go over the details of it as she does, and she's got some graphs. I think over and above, I think it's been positive data. But let's get into it and then we can chat about it.
So this is the same survey in essence that we've done since about 2006, I think was the first time we did it. We did do a couple of revisions in 14, but we've kind of tried to stay to the same model so that we can compare it over time. And the major, can I click or no? We decided that's not working.
It's not working for me, but never know.
You never know.
The cursor seems to be working. Are you doing that?
Oh,
There you go.
maybe it does work for me. How about that? So it's 7 categories: work environment, building administrative support, professional learning, professional responsibilities, climate, culture, the superintendent's office, and school board. This year we had about a 33% response rate compared with previous years. And I think it's really partly due to the fact that we were kind of late in putting the survey out. And so I think that kind of attributed to some of the low response rate with that. I think once you click on that, it doesn't let us click again. Yeah, I don't
And
know.
then stop.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah,
Good.
but
Thank
now I'm kind of out of sorts.
Let me see if I can adjust.
Yeah,
Okay.
center a page and then just click on the document writ
Yeah.
large
All right.
and then don't do anything.
See if that works. So this is the response rates by school. So you see our 2 larger schools, we had a fairly good response rate.
This is one of the lowest response rates, actually, by 6 points. It is,
Yes.
it's terribly low.
The lowest in 15 years.
Yeah, see,
Anything?
I can't, there I go. Somebody goes. And then this is the response rate of the percentage completing the survey, what categories they were in, and the majority of them were teachers. And then you see the other positions that are there. And what I do is I take the survey and I group it according to strongly agree, and then assign a number of percentage based on that. And then I've compared those over previous years so you can kind of see them. And then anybody that checked not applicable, they were removed from any of the calculations. If the current year's blue in font, that indicates that it was higher than the previous year. And then if it's a gold background, that indicates that it's the highest rating that we've had in that area to date.
So that's without significance testing. That is just directionally higher, not statistically higher.
Yes. So the first area was work environment, and you could see the ratings there. And in 3 of those areas, we were higher than we were in the previous year. So definitely saw that trend where we were moving forward in that area. Definitely saw some feedback that we'd heard in the comments that we'd heard relative to doors and things like that we're attempting to address now. But certainly that was something that kind of came up from time to time. And then building administrative report, this is a longer category, so this is just the first part of that. But that top area, even though it wasn't higher than previous year, it was 87%. And then for the discipline, it was up considerably from the previous year to 70%. And the all of these areas, with the exception of meetings are necessary and productive, went up over the previous year. I'm not really, there seemed to be a lot of feedback regarding meetings. I guess a lot of people don't like meetings anyway, but I'm sure they weren't talking about school board meetings, but other meetings.
The Atlantic actually sent an interesting article that basically, that white collar work these days is basically just meetings. It was in the latest edition, and I thought it was pretty compelling and representative of what I experienced.
Well, and I think part of it is, when we were in COVID, we did things virtually and we didn't have as many meetings. And now that we're kind of normalizing and that shift has trended. And I think there are people that think, well, we don't really need to do that. So I'm sure there's opinions on both sides.
Yeah, and you brought that up. It is interesting to just. It's interesting to just consider as you look at these different years, the one where schools were closed, nobody was in them. Was 2020. So just.
Have a high response rate during the years we weren't here.
Yeah.
Well, just the ones that are marked higher during that year, it's interesting. It's not necessarily, I'm not saying it's correlated.
Right. And then this also continues administrative support. We had 3 of these 4 areas. We were higher than we were in the previous year. And
When did we field it in 2020? I'm so sorry for interrupting you,
that's okay.
Mrs. Grasser. Dr. Stribling, when in the year did we actually give the survey in 2020?
We always
I
give it
wasn't
in
here.
May.
In May.
We've always given it in May.
Okay.
It's just sometimes it's been a little bit earlier in May than this one.
Okay, so 2020 would have captured the response to COVID. Gotcha.
And then professional development. Again, higher, all of those were higher than they were the previous year. Professional responsibilities were higher than they were the previous year, and we did a lot, we did a lot over the last couple of years in terms of class sizes, and that was the highest that it has been. So definitely we saw that pattern there.
It's funny, these are the things that we've talked about over the last 4 years about getting adequate planning time, making sure that people aren't assigned additional duties such that they can't plan, and then reducing the class sizes, especially in K-2. So it's good to see that the staff see that as progress.
And then professional responsibilities continuing, and again, again, higher than they were the previous year. That one for sufficient number of support staff is still pretty low. Surprisingly, the school that has the most instructional assistants to students ratio so that they didn't have enough instructional assistants. So
I believe them and think that is absolutely true. We could just get the support cap lifted. We could do wonders.
climate and culture, that we weren't as high as we were the previous year, but most of those were in the 80s, and then the one that's not is at 77%. So I think still very favorable in that area. And then for the superintendent's office, this is again a longer category, and 2 of those 3 areas we were higher than we were the previous year, and the one where we're not, it's still at almost 85%. And then continuing the superintendent's office, again, all of those were higher than the previous year, and then the information relative to job opportunities is the highest that it's ever been. So I know that they've worked extremely hard on making sure that information is out there as well. And the school board, 2 of those areas higher than the previous year, and the one that's not is still at 75%. So I think very favorable trend there as well. And then we share this information with you. We've also shared the information with the each building's administration. They have the data specific to their school, and then also information comparing their school to the other schools and the averages, so that they can look at that information and make that part of their strategic plan and how they're going to do their continuous improvement. And then we've asked them to share this with their staff when the staff return in August as well, to break that, make that part of that as well.
Do you anticipate sharing verbatim responses with the board as we have done in previous years?
Yes, we can certainly do that.
I know it's
just-
effort
we
to
just-
anonymize.
Yeah, we just want to redact
Totally.
places where people's names are there. But
Yeah, to the
absolutely.
extent that you were comfortable
Let's
and
do
that it's not too laborious. I
Sure.
think sometimes it's nice to, this provides the like, what direction are we headed? And sometimes the open ends can give us a little more qualitative guidance on the why.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a couple of thoughts about it. I think because it's been given so long, I do think there's some value in continuing to, not tampering with the way things are worded or the types of questions. And at the same time, if everybody doesn't answer it, it's hard sometimes to know. It's hard to use this data. My experience with these is that people will hear me say this and say, well, of course you're gonna say that because you're the superintendent. As response rates, very seldom do people who are sideways with the division or unhappy not avail themselves of the opportunity to fill this out. And oftentimes people that are satisfied and happy don't take the time to do it. As response rates go down, I take away from that is a positive thing. I'll never know whether it is. My first choice would be that I'd love to have 100% response rate. Because I think that's where it would be really helpful. Some of the questions, there's data in here. Obviously, there's work that we need to do in some of our schools with physical cleanliness, and we knew that already, and there are steps that have taken. By the same token, we've worked with the board to try to beef up the custodial staff in terms of numbers in some of our schools. We haven't been able to do that necessarily. We did increase the contracts for a few of them, so we hope that that'll have an impact. When to me, the most valuable data we get, maybe to supplement this, well, and this is in our strategic plan, this is in the granular details of our plan, is for us to be doing regular dipstick check assessments. The one at the end is fine, but taking the pulse of the staff throughout the school year, not this lengthy necessarily, but essentially just a mechanism for them to say thumbs up, thumbs down, and to have an opportunity to give details so that we really know how we're doing in creating an inspiring environment for people. We've made it a priority to really communicate with our staff, to go out and meet with them. I do the block parties with them, which are all day. I have a vibrant staff advisory committee that does a great job of facilitating communication. So over and above, overall, I'm encouraged by the data. I'm not discouraged by the lower response rate, although I wish more people did take the opportunity to fill it out. But my goal will be for us to do more regular check-ins, formative, if you will, assessment to supplement this. I think that will be really valuable for us.
So I'm on board with all of that. I will note that like falling response rates are also like, sure, we can say that like there's less people who are irate and willing or are interested in grinding an axe, but usually response rates aren't uniform, meaning that like the same type of person isn't going to take the survey at the same rate. And so to the extent that we can, and the number one thing you can do to encourage people to like give feedback like this, and I do survey research for a living.
Yeah.
Is to demonstrate to them that you actually are gonna use the results and that you care about it, and to communicate what you've done with the information provided to show them that you're serious about it. And that brings them to the table. That's in line with your vision and your mission statement.
Sure.
And so to the extent that you can, especially as you get close to releasing next year's, provide like in block parties or in whatever format and or venue you can, communicate the way that you've used this data historically to encourage them to
Yeah,
participate, that's fabulous, because there are omitted voices with unique perspectives that we're just not privy to based on sample size and based on participation.
agreed.
I also, given this like some odd years of data here, would encourage you not to make changes to it to the extent that like it is an imperfect instrument. We have tons of tracking data. And so to the extent that you're going to add or change anything, I would encourage you to do so at the very end of the survey so that you're not disrupting tracking data.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
bias is critically important on these. So to the extent that you need objective survey related help, please let me know what I can do. But
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Thank you.
Here, having the voice of the staff is so critically important.
Yes.
But you're right, that one
Thank you.
survey is not the end all be all when you have millions of touch points.
Mhm. Thank you.
About 24 budget.
So we found out how much money we're getting for fiscal year 24 from the state in somewhere in the middle of June. Which I don't need to tell you makes it a little bit challenging. At this point, we're still looking at, because what's included in the template doesn't include all of the state revenue. So we're still scrutinizing some of that. The other piece is that we get sales tax every month, but sales tax is 2 months behind. So we'll still get sales tax in July. That's actually for fiscal year 24, and then another sales tax in August that's for 24 as well. One of the things that I find challenging is we have a template that tells us how much sales tax we should get. But if I look at the trend of sales tax that we've been getting and what's left on the template, those two things don't match. And so I am still monitoring that to try to see what that real sales tax number is going to be. In that the state revenue may be a little bit higher than what's on the template, but I'm not clear on that. So that's when people ask me, well, how much money are you gonna have left? I really can't answer that question right yet, but I'm working on it.
I mean, it seems like 5.7 million.
That would be wrong.
Let's just call Dahl and let him know what's going on.
So we've talked before about revenue that we're not gonna see. One of the big things is we didn't use all the all-in money. We're gonna carry over about $770,000 of that, and that's already built into the 25 budget. And the other giant one is the construction money. It's about 1.7 million that's in the bank that again will be carrying over. So you lop those off of there and some additional funds related to Project Return and Governor's School, and that brings that number down. Right now, I would say my number's somewhere between 500,000 and 800,000, but I'm still really tentative, and because it's so tight, it makes me nervous to say a dollar amount. So I promise when I come back in August, I'll have more and better information. And at that point, we'll have at least one more sales tax payment, so I'll have a better idea on that front as well.
Yeah, I mean, what you do for this division and for our budget is akin to building a plane while you're flying it. It is absurd. And the fact that we are even on the plus side, 500K is astonishing given how much the state has taken away from us. How much did they take away over the last year? About 2 million?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So literally, if they hadn't kind of pulled the rug out from under us, we'd be sitting on $2.5 million, not $500,000.
Well, we did a lot of things during the year, like for operations. You know, we told Travis, only do the stuff we really have to fix. If it's cosmetic, you know, if people want you to buy paint, we can't do it right now. We can't buy paint brushes. We just really cut anything like that, any kind of extra materials, things we thought, well, you know, we could buy these books now, but let's just wait and do it next year. Just because we just didn't know. There
Is
were
there
also some
anything-
positions where people left and we just didn't fill them. We held that position open. So it's just some of those things, when we kind of knew, well, we knew the first cut when we got the budget originally in October for 24, and that was lower than we had been told. So we already knew about that. And then as the year progressed and we looked at enrollment and those things, we saw it trending down as well. So, I mean, we will be in the black, that I'm sure of. How far in the black, I can't really answer that right now. So nobody's going to jail, and that's the good news.
Well, to be clear, we would only go to, and not we, but
Yeah.
others, since I don't hold a gavel,
Yeah,
only go to jail if they exceed the revised budget of the
Yes.
57.9. So I think we are
yes.
far clear of that. Was there any projects or things that we would have considered essential but for the cuts? Like, is there anything that is like that we really had to do without, but we really shouldn't have had to do without, that we'll need to like find a way to make work?
I mean,
Like paint's one of those things that like, it's not gonna kill anyone, right? Like,
right, but it does lend itself to what, you know, what we've been talking about with, you know,
Building.
with the building cleanliness and those sorts of things. I mean, you know, I don't need to tell, a fresh coat of paint in here did wonders. I don't need to tell you that. So those kind of things, I mean, they're important, but you're right. I mean, it's not that we're gonna, that kids aren't gonna learn as much just because the wall wasn't painted, but it does help with the whole atmosphere.
sure, and I'm
I
not
know-
belittling it, I was just thinking about
Yeah.
like, what are needs versus wants?
And I know
and-
we, you know, I've had many conversations, as I'm sure Dr. Striblin has with Mr. Hampshire about, you know, we just found out this thing is broken, you know, can we replace it? And I have to say, not right now, we need to wait. So, you know, it's some of those kind of things that are just sort of ongoing. We cut way back on technology purchases. You know, we asked Mr. Gifford to look at what was really essential, and even though it might have been something that was in the replacement cycle, can it wait? And so we did a lot of that in the spring as well. Because we wanted to make sure we were on good footing.
Putting the cart before the horse a bit, but as you get through the budget process and come up with a number, et cetera, you know, obviously we continue to have ongoing discussions with the Board of Supervisors about doing bathroom renovations on an ad hoc basis, but to the extent that the things that got cut, that went below the line because we didn't have funding, if there is a single voice between a lot of our executive staff here as to like what the like priorities are, then those are things that we could discuss as a board come, I think probably it's either September, October, we have the conversation about what we might ask for through carryover. And I would love to make sure that those are considered in tandem with the bathroom renovations. They're all critically important, but finding what our priority rank is and being able to communicate that to the supers means that we're starting with from a place of genuineness and consideration.
And we do find that we have some items that are still outstanding that we're resolving. But for the most part, I think we're on solid ground with that. And we've taken care of all of the fuel and utilities and those sorts of things.
You should be canonized.
Well. Let's see, the other thing I would say in reference to 24 is the health insurance fund is extremely tight, and that's not looking at the run out. So any claims that we get, you know, we'll continue to have claims being processed that occurred with BPA. And so we'll have to pay for those claims as well as new claims that we're getting. And that fund is very tight right now. But we do also have a lot of large claims, which means we pay them up front and then we're repaid. And so there's some of that that's still being washed out at this point. I think, you know, for the most part, I've not heard anything, any issues with Centera. The cards, they came out like literally the 30th or the 1st, people got their cards. I do know people were at the doctor's office on the first because they were calling here if they didn't get their card, and we helped them with that. There was an issue with primary care physicians, and apparently they picked one for you, but they didn't ask you which one you wanted, and so we're still trying to work through that. So there should be people can go to their physician, they don't have to change, but we just have to work through the paperwork and electronic part of all of that. But I can't think of anything else. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Dr. Gross?
No, done great with that. Thank you.
Do you think that we are going to need to ask the Board of Supervisors for carryover funds in order to keep our healthcare accounts afloat? Like, it's not our cash anymore, so we can't move things around.
Right, I mean, it's always wise to have to have funding in that health insurance bucket. It doesn't go anywhere, it just goes to those claims. I would say in the next month or so, again, I'll have a better idea of where we stand with that completely.
I don't think there's a danger in it not being afloat, though. Would you agree?
Right, no.
The health of it in terms of.
Right.
Right,
ability
that's
to
the issue is.
stand some of the higher claims, but
Yeah, and we had quite a few people that were over the 125,000. I
Yeah.
mean, it's quite a few. And hopefully they're all getting better and
That's
some
what-
of that
That's what we
dissipates.
want.
Yeah, I mean, we have health insurance for a reason. And, you know, I certainly want them to be healthy and get the care that they need. I'm very encouraged that Centera seems to be, at this point, a good agency to be working with. I think some of those issues will go away. My staff and I certainly hope so. That would be nice not to have to deal with that right now, but yeah. I will let you know more, when we come back together in August.
As we continue to go through renewals, does Centera have programs for, it's paternalistic, but basically rewards based on preventative care so that the small things that ultimately become large things can be caught earlier?
We had that with BPA. We haven't flushed out what that's gonna look like with Centera yet, but there is a plan to do that. So that is something that I need to reach back out to them about and get back on their calendar for setting that up and defining it.
yeah, the BPA plan was proprietary. They built it, it was proprietary, but what they have told us is that they're trying to do it in a way that's as seamless as possible for the employee, but they have said that our employees can. So essentially what that did was gave the ability to lower the deductible.
Yeah.
And that we should be able to count on being able to lower it to the same degree through the process, whatever it is.
One of the things that we do have to be mindful of is that we're not creating a wellness plan that costs us so much that it doesn't really make sense. And so that's the
It's a
other piece of that.
Short-term, long-term trade-offs.
Right, and I'm not sure that BPA was in a position to really do metrics on how much the wellness plan you have set up works. So, I mean, works and costs, and
Centera
I think-
should
right,
be able to share some statistics, because there are some divisions and organizations that do and don't have these things, and the
Yeah.
difference between them.
Yeah.
Assuming ceteris paribus should tell us a little bit about like how much more you ultimately pay if you don't do the short run.
but we did have a situation with BPA where we were paying a pretty exorbitant fee for these consultations that may or may not have been happening the way they should have been happening. And we definitely don't want to get into that boat again, where you're just paying out this money for something that's really not being effective. So I'm trying to be really careful with that as well.
Totally. Thanks for being thoughtful and for running both a finance department and a health system.
I'll put it on my resume. For 25, I don't have anything in your packet right now. Just to kind of explain how the process works with budget is, the first thing we have to do is build all of our people in payroll, and we can't build them in payroll until we've generated all of the payrolls. So we've now generated the June payroll and the July written in June payroll. And we've spent the last week building people in payroll, making sure they're in the right lines and doing all of those pieces. I'll just be, well, I'm always honest, but Munis is not my favorite software. We're having a lot of different issues with it. The customer support is very poor. I don't have a choice on whether I use Munis or not. The county has dictated that we use Munis, and so that's what we do. So when the vendors call me, I say, call Stahl. But it's really been a challenge this year more than ever, and I told Dr. Gretz, there's an automated process for rolling people over on steps and changing salaries, and none of that worked properly. So we have spent the last day going through line by line, person by person, to make sure that their salary is correct. And it's taking some time to do that, to make those corrections and changes if there's an issue. And then the process is, we're ready to run the True July, which is just a 12-month employees, and then we'll start generating mock payrolls. And then that's when I build the line item budgets. So when we come back in August, we'll have line item budgets. We have a feeling for the categories and those pieces, but just doing line by line. And then because we lost some grant funding and had to shift things to other grants and move things around, all of those adjustments have to be made as well. I promise you, we're working on it. We do have a number from the state this year, which is exciting, provided that doesn't change.
Plus or minus $2 million.
Yeah, so, but right now we're working really hard on it, but July is our toughest month for sure. Do you have any other questions about that?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, to unfinished business, board. Do you have any unfinished business? Any new business?
If I could, I should have mentioned it earlier, my fault. In action items, you have AP textbook adoption. When our teacher went to training, she found out that there's a new edition of the textbook that was just released. And so we really don't want to adopt the old version, but we need to review that new version to make sure that there's nothing in there that we're going to have issue with. And then we need to put it back out on display for another 30 days. Luckily, the class is not being taught till second semester, so that would be January. So we would rather just table that right now and kind of restart that process. Would that be okay with you?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll just make a motion to defer.
I think it's already on there, not to. It's C,
Yeah.
11C.
To defer.
All right, on to action items, 11A. Dr. Gress, anything we should be looking at for our policy update?
Nothing new. I mean, nothing's changed with regards to what you've seen.
We pulled a policy a couple months ago. To examine, I don't know if it's come back out. Yeah, I'm having a hard time remembering 60 days ago, but
Remember, Ms. Kreitzer? I remember that yeah, that's what I'm thinking
one?
of. The one that provided the room for nursing. And the request from Mr. Pullen was to make sure that applied to students as well.
Okay.
And that was resolved last month, I believe.
Okay.
Month before. So, Mr. Key, nothing.
Okay.
I mean, I'm happy to talk about any of these again, but nothing's changed with it.
all right, in that case, I'll move that we approve the VSBA Fluvanna policy updates for from June 2024 in bank.
Thanks, Dr.
I'll second that.
Got a second? All right, I guess I got a first and a second, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. So it's approved. So approval of the 2024-25 parent resource guide.
So this, Dr. Stribling presented this last month. I think there were a couple of edits that have taken place. You can see where they are, but Dr. Stribling, anything you want to highlight? I mean, yeah.
No major, the only real thing that we haven't done, because it's an active document or a fluid document, we're gonna add to our website. We haven't finished adding all the hyperlinks, because we want to actually hyperlink. If we have a policy, we want to hyperlink the policy to the board, so that parents, community members can have that access. And be efficient, that's the only thing that we have.
Right, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the 2024-25 parent resource guide.
I'll make a motion, we approve it 2024-2025 parent resource guide as presented in the packet.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. We're on to the approval of the 24-25 cafeteria meal prices.
Any questions for me? Ms. Jones was here last month and presented this. You also have the eligibility, the form for the CEP in there as well, for the free meals.
Real quick on the resource guide. Andre Key is the vice chair, so that'll need to be updated and isn't currently in that draft.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Kelly.
We always miss that one. It's hard. Danny's in there, but the titles are wrong, so.
Thank you. See that?
All right, can I get a?
I apologize for interrupting.
No,
No problem.
So I'll move that we approve the 2024-2025 cafeteria meal prices for 11D.
I'll second.
Thanks, Mr. Rittenhouse. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye.
Just to be tidy, do we want to make a motion, or may I make a motion that we defer the AP psychology textbook adoption until further notice?
Yes, sir, that's fine. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Thank you. All right, on to public comments, second round. Is anybody here that wants to come up for public comments? Please keep in mind, there'll be 3 minutes up there on the screen.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Kingery. I live in the Ravenna district. I'm reading on behalf of Ashley Crocker, who lives in the Fork Union district. She's on vacation this week with her family and regrets not being able to be here in person. She says, "It seems that, as usual, there's been some confusion. According to the recap of last month's meeting provided by the Fork Union representative, the public comments were from parents concerned about charter schools. That's only half true. While charter schools are certainly a concern and something we continue to fight against, what the parents in this community are most concerned about are the clear lack of ethics and transparency shown by some members of this board. It shouldn't take a FOIA request to learn that the chair of this board is having secret conversations with the Virginia Department of Education. It shouldn't be on the citizens who attend these meetings to keep board members honest and set the record straight for everyone else. I would contend that if you don't want members of the public to ask you what happened at the last school board meeting, you should act with openness and integrity. If you aren't willing to have difficult conversations with people who disagree with you, you should not be a member of this board. You should apologize when you do something wrong. You shouldn't sit there and scold and smirk at your constituents, who are just concerned parents trying to make Fluvanna a place where all of our children can be successful. Unfortunately, that's not what you've done. You've doubled down on half-truths and refused to acknowledge your wrongdoing. And so we will continue to be here, digging into your actions and holding you accountable, even if you don't like it. See you in person next month.
Thank you.
Georgiana Jocelyn, Cunningham District. I have 3 quotes for you tonight regarding transparency and accountability. One of the main focuses of my campaign and one of the most frequently asked questions has been on the subject of transparency. Unfortunately, this is because there has been serious issues regarding transparency, both in the school system and on the school board. Number 2, I feel strongly that there has been significant issues with transparency and accountability, both in the school board and with the administration in previous years. Number 3, I am focused on bringing accountability, confidence, and transparency to the school board while ensuring that taxpayer dollars are going to classroom instruction. All 3 of these quotes, plus a few more on the subject of transparency and accountability, are quoted directly from our current chairman. I have copies if anybody would like to reference them. But yet, when asked by fellow members of the school board, as well as members of the community about his involvement with Life Prep Charter School, there was no accountability and there was no transparency. That last quote, I am focused on bringing accountability, confidence, and transparency to the school board while ensuring that taxpayer dollars are going to classroom instruction. Please note that this does not say classroom-less instruction, which is what Life Prep Charter School is wanting here in Fluvanna. Members of the community were forced to file multiple Freedom of Information Act requests to try and unravel what should have been disclosed publicly. The latest request was just released today, and we look forward to seeing what else the chair hasn't been transparent about. Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing nobody else coming forward, I'll close the second round of public comments. On to the school member comments. Dr. Kelly.
I want to apologize for not being in person last board meeting. I managed to avoid COVID for 3+ years and ultimately had a reasonably rough bout of congestion and whatnot related to it. So between that and some travel, I'll admit that I've had to limit sort of the amount of time that I've spent on various things, including my professional responsibilities and other projects and things at home. But I am quite well and back on my feet and enthusiastic and optimistic about the school year ahead. I know that I hold appointments to a good number of committees here and that I've had to miss a couple of meetings for health and travel reasons. And so I'm optimistic that in future meetings, I'll have more information for you. I'm imperfect and will continue to have work travel from time to time and in fact, do take a vacation every now and then. But my goal is to be at every meeting when humanly possible. I've missed 2 in 6 years. I'm confident I'll miss another one this year for various and sundry reasons, but to the extent that I am above ground in this county, I promise to be here. And so my sincere apologies for not being so last time.
Thanks, Dr. Kelly. Mr. Rittenhouse.
Like Mr. Kelly, I do look forward to the upcoming school year and children coming back and the new teachers in the schools. I look forward to meeting them on the first day, and also thankful for the rain that we're getting. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Rittenhouse. I guess I'll close with I'm very excited, like Dr. Kelly and Mr. Rittenhouse said about the new school year, and I had a chance this evening for the school board meeting. I drove by the new high school, checked out the new football field that's in progress, looked at those yellow shiny goal posts. That's a lot of excitement for the kids, hopefully when the school year starts. You know, going to high school, you know, there's a lot of things that you remember and don't remember. I know one thing I remember is being on sports teams. So that's thank you. All right, board members, there's some informational items, 14A, VSBA newsletter, upcoming events, B, Fluvanna County Public press releases and upcoming events. On the 15th adjournment, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
I second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.